Mohammed in Berlin, who wants us to know that asking for evidence for God is a fallacy.
And I preemptively just addressed this a little bit, but what's the point here, Mohammed? Welcome to the show.
Oh, yeah. Hi. I understand it's getting really late. Guys, you're doing a great job.
I can't hear you.
He's very quiet. Can the control room do anything about that?
Hello?
Hey,
Yes.
there you are. That's better.
Oh. Hi. Thank you very much for getting me on the call. And you guys are doing an amazing job. And I know it's getting late for you as well. I will get you to the...
So it says here that atheists asking for evidence of God is a fallacy. Which fallacy is that?
So basically, I was thinking that atheism, as you define it, is a lack of belief, which basically means that you might have made some effort to, look for evidences of God. Is it so?
So atheism is I'm not convinced that there's a God. It may also be I'm convinced there is no God. It may depend on the God as to whether you take a strong or weak stance. But in either of those cases, if someone is saying a God exists, how is asking for evidence for that claim a fallacy?
Right. Because religions are basically a belief system. And if you are asking for evidence of God and that is given to you, then what's the belief? I mean, that is then known to you, isn't it?
Okay, so religions are belief systems, but the claim there is a God is a claim about something that exists.
Yeah, exactly.
So how is it ever a fallacy to ask for evidence for a claim that something exists?
Right. So there won't be evidence of God that you might find, but you might find signs that might be
You're not even coming close. So somebody says X exists, and I say, give me evidence that X exists. How am I committing a fallacy?
You're not. It's absolutely right that
your entire topic here was atheists asking for evidence of God is a fallacy. Did the call screener get it wrong, or did you?
No. I did put it that way because you see, religion systems are belief systems. When it comes to belief systems, then asking for these kind of things are not right.
No. I have plenty of beliefs, and they're based on evidence. A belief belief is just merely being convinced that something is true or likely true, right?
Is true or likely true? Yeah, definitely, sure.
Yeah,
but it's probably not from based on evidence.
Bullshit. Almost I would like for everything that I believe, everything that I am convinced of, I would like for that to be based on evidence. If somebody shows me something that I believe that's not based on evidence, I'm either going to have to acknowledge, like in the case of the logical absolutes, that this is something I presuppose, although there are evidence that those things are true, there's just not evidence that they're absolutely uniformly true at all times in all places. That's different because we don't have exhaustive knowledge. But my position is that they're true and reliable until somebody demonstrates otherwise. Every other belief I have should be based on evidence. What belief could someone reasonably think is true in the absence of evidence that it's true?
If you see signs of of the claim,
that's called evidence.
Oh, okay. Actually, when I went to talk to many of these atheists and everything, they put the evidence for the existence of God.
Right. So, for example, if I see signs of deer in my backyard, I might not see a deer, but if I see deer tracks and deer poop, those are signs that deer are in my that are going through my backyard at some point. There might not be deer there right now, but I know that there are deer and they are going through my backyard at some point.
And if Tracy tells me that she's had deer in her backyard and I say, what's the evidence? And she shows me the tracks and the poop, right. Now I have evidence.
Yeah, you're very right. There has to be something verifiable, testable, that leads to, by induction or something.
Well, sure. Yes, okay. That's evidence.
I believe that induction is not, considered for atheists as a reliable method to say that.
No. It's not for atheists. Deductive reasoning is such that the premises necessarily lead to a true premises necessarily lead to a true conclusion, and inductive inferences are that it doesn't matter whether you're an atheist or not as to whether or not this is reliable. And so this is about whether or not the conclusion is consistent with that. So inference and induction, we live our lives by that. They're pretty damn reliable. They're just not absolutely reliable in the way a deductive argument would be. But it doesn't matter. It's not like atheists have a different view of inductive arguments than non-atheists. But okay, so I'm confused at what the point is, because you started off with this. So let me see if we agree.
I think so, because my point was that there might not be like absolute evidence of existence of God, but there has to be like signs.
Okay,
Well, okay,
but here's a problem. Remember the example I gave of the deer, where I said there's deer tracks and deer poop, right? And that's a sign that a deer has gone through the yard. The problem with that, it's not a problem. My example is not a problem, but the reason it's different than a God is that we know what deer tracks look like, and we know what deer poop is. Like, you can follow deer around and see them poop and see them leave tracks and know that when you see that track, it's a deer track. Now, if me...
I could have gone and picked up deer poop and scattered it all over Tracy's yard and then stamped with some
here's the
deer
thing, though. If me and Matt were astronauts and we went to another planet and we found some kind of weird stuff on the planet that kind of reminded us of animal tracks. But if it didn't, you know what I mean? We wouldn't know what it was because we're not familiar with that planet. So we would see something and we might actually be able to say, it kind of resembles tracks. This looks like the same type of thing as an animal track on Earth, but I don't know what it is.
Yeah, we wouldn't have,
right?
we couldn't conclude that it was necessarily a track of a living being, right, or which living being it was.
Or what on that planet might make something that looks like a track that may or may not be anything alive.
So is there any belief that would be justified for someone to hold without evidence that warrants that belief?
There would be any belief. It depends on what belief are we talking about. For instance,
So is your position that God exists, but we don't have evidence for that?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So you are convinced...
Then you know that God exists, then you don't have any belief. It's like...
No, stop. Pause. Let's be careful with this, because I don't want language barriers to get in the way of this.
Okay.
Is it your position that God exists?
I believe that God exists, yes.
Okay, so
it is your position that God exists. That's all belief means. Belief just means you are convinced that the claim is true. Are you convinced that God exists is a true claim?
I have 100% belief, but...
No. I didn't ask about confidence level. I don't need 100% of anything. Are you convinced that a God exists?
If convinced means absolute certainty.
No, nothing. I'm not asking about certainty. I don't think you can be absolutely certain about anything. Are you convinced that a God exists?
If someone says it's true that a God exists, would you say that's a correct statement?
Oh, yes.
Okay. Now, do you think there is evidence that warrants reaching the conclusion?
Oh, yes.
What is it?
Okay, so there are these, like, for instance, you won't get evidence for the existence of God, but you would get signs